السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا إلى مركز العلوم والحكمة Remote Study. Welcome to the fifth part of our lesson series from the book titled Arabic Grammar Without Tears. I am MudarrisSulaimanAli Ali. Happy listening. المصطلحات الصرفية. Some technical words in Sarf. Arabic morphology. المصطلحات الصرفية. Some technical words in Sarf. Arabic morphology. The reason why they are called al-mustalahat, a technical words, is because they can only be understood by the students of knowledge or the expert in the field. Now we are going to talk about how fi'l amr can be derived from mudaru. Once you know your mudaru, you can simply derive amr from it. For instance, the verb yaktub, he is writing, from kataba yaktubu, kataba yaktubu. So the waznu is fa'ala yaf'ulu, fa'ala yaf'ulu, kataba yaktubu. So how do we derive amru from the verb yaktub? Apply the following steps. Step number 1 is to replace ya'un with alif. So you drop ya'un and replace it with the alifun. So the question is, what kind of haraka, what kind of vowel sound are you going to give the alif? Are you going to read alif with fataha, kasra, or dhamma? Apply the following logic. So you count your letter. After replacing ya'un with alif, so you count your letters. Starting with alif. Alifun is 1. A kafun is 2. Then ta'un is 3. So the third letter determines the kind of vowel sound you give to the alif. So if the third letter is carrying fataha, read the alif with kasra. If the third letter is carrying kasra, you give alif on kasra. And if the third letter is carrying dhamma, you give the alif on dhamma. I repeat. Give alif on kasra if the third letter is carrying fataha or kasra. And you give the alif on dhamma if the third letter is carrying dhamma. For instance, in the case of yaktub, when we replace ya'un with alifun, so the third letter is carrying dhamma, which means we are going to read our alifun with dhamma. So yaktub, the amru from yaktub is oktub. So step number 3 is to give the last letter sukun, as we know that the main sign of amr is sukun appearing on the last letter. So yaktub will now become oktub. La'allaka fahimt? I hope you understand. MashaAllah. So oktub is the amr. So in the case of qara'a, yakra'u, yakra'u is the mudaru. So how do we derive amr? From the mudaru, yakra'u. Replace ya'un with alif. Then you now count your letters, starting with the alif. And ra'un is the third letter. Ra'un is the third letter. And ra'un is taking fataha, which means you are going to read your alif with kasra. So yakra'u. So the amr from yakra'u will now be ikra by giving sukun to the last letter, which is the main sign of amr in Arabic. So yakra'u, the amr from yakra'u is ikra, reading alifun with kasra, because the third letter is carrying fataha. La'allaka fahimt? I hope you understand. In the case of yajlis, which means he is sitting down, yajlis from jalasa yajlisu fa'ala yaf'ilu, and qara'a yakra'u fa'ala yaf'alu. Jalasa fa'ala yajlisu yaf'ilu. So how do we derive amr from yajlis? So you replace ya'un with alifun. You now count your letters, starting with the alif. And lamun is your third letter. Lamun is carrying kasra, which means you are going to read the alif, the borrowed alif, you are going to read it with kasra. Why is it so? Because the third letter is carrying kasra. So in that case, the amr from yajlis will now be ijlis, sit down, reading the alifun with kasra, because the third letter is carrying kasra. La'allaka fahimt? I hope you understand. MashaAllah. So now, amru can now be categorized into two by looking at those whom we are commanding. if you are commanding a male person, there is a form of amr you use. And if you are commanding a female person, there is a form of amr you are to use. For instance, we say ijlis in commanding a male person. In the case of a female person, we attach yaun to the last letter. Remember, once yaun is attached, the letter before it must take kasra, as we know that yaun is the mother of kasra. So ijlis will now become ijlisi, sit down, commanding a single female person. So oktub for a male person, which means write. A female person, we say oktubi, write. Idhab, go. You apply this to a male person. Idhabi, go, and you apply this to a female person. Yajlis, so the amru from yajlis is ijlis. Yaktub, the amru is oktub, female, oktubi. Ijlis, female, ijlisi. So the amru from yadhab is idhab. Idhab for a male person and idhabi for a female person. La'allaka fahimt? I hope you understand. MashaAllah. So now talking about nahayu, another concept in sarf. Nahayu is a word that we use in commanding others not to do something. Amru is used to command them to do something, but the opposite of amru is nahayu, prohibition. Now the examples of amr. Wahid, number one. لا تكتب رسالة إلى المدير يا هاشم. لا تكتب, don't write, رسالة, any letter, إلى المدير, to the principal, يا هاشم, هاشم. اثنان, number two. لا تكتبي واجبك يا فاطمة. لا تكتبي, don't write, واجبك, your assignment, يا فاطمة, Fatima. Perhaps it wasn't the time for writing assignments. لا تكتبي, do not write, واجبك, your assignment, يا فاطمة, Fatima. So we say لا تكتبي for a female, but male لا تكتب. لا تكتب, لا تكتبي. ثلاثة, number three. لا تذهب إلى المسجد يا خالد. لا تذهب إلى المسجد يا خالد. لا تذهب إلى المسجد, don't go to the mosque. يا خالد, خالد. In the case of a female, we say لا تذهبي إلى الفصل يا زينب. لا تذهبي إلى الفصل, don't go to the class. يا زينب, زينب. لعلك فهمت. I hope you understand the difference between the kind of a verb you are to use to command a male person not to do something, as well as a female person not to do something. So you attach yaun to the last letter for commanding a female not to do something. لعلك فهمت. I hope you understand. MashaAllah. Now I'm talking about masdar. A masdar means verb noun. A masdar, the equivalent of masdar in English is ing noun. Ing noun, a noun ending in ing. It is not a pure noun. It is not a pure noun because it has a sign of it being related to a verb in it. Nouns like eating, dancing, jumping, singing, they are not pure noun, rather they are ing noun, gerund. So masdarun, verb noun. So the nouns that are derived from verb. Now the examples of masdar in Arabic. Wahid, number one. Al-kitabatu kharij al-fasli mamnu'a. Al-kitabatu, writing, kharij al-fasli, outside the classroom, mamnu'a, is forbidden. So the example of masdar is al-kitaba. Al-kitabatu is the example of masdar from kataba yaktubu kitabatun. So kitaba is the masdar of kataba yaktub. Ithnan, number two. Al-dhahabu ila al-maktaba laylan mamnu'. Al-dhahabu ila al-maktabati laylan mamnu'. Al-dhahab, going, ila al-maktaba, to the library, laylan, in the night. Mamnu'un is forbidden because it is risky. Al-dhahabu ila al-maktabati laylan, going to the library in the night. Mamnu'un is forbidden. So al-dhahab is the example of masdar. Dhahab is the masdar of dhahaba yadhahabu dhahabun. Thalatha, number three. الجلوس على الطريق ممنوع. الجلوس, sitting, على الطريق, on the road. ممنوع is forbidden. So al-julus is another example of masdar. Julus is the masdar of jalasa, yajlisu, julusun. Arba'a, number 4. Ad-duhul means entering. Ad-duhulu qabla salam mamnu. Ad-duhul, entering, to enter somebody's house or somebody's room. A qabla salam, before greeting them. Mamnu'un is forbidden. Is forbidden. So ad-duhul is another example of masdar. From dakhala yadkhulu dukhulun. Dakhala yadkhulu dukhulun. La'allaka fahimt. I hope you understand. MashaAllah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. مع السلامة وإلى اللقاء آخر.